Hey everybody, welcome back to layout update number 12. It's been a couple of weeks since our last one, so we've got a ton as per usual to talk about, but this time kind of more than others because we're celebrating a milestone on the channel. Some of you guys might have already seen the community post that I made, but the channel passed 1,000 subscribers around the new year, which is totally amazing. I'm super grateful for everybody that is subscribed to the channel and looking forward to growing more. But with that out of the way, we'll get right into the layout update here. The first thing that you can obviously see here is that the ballast project in Geneva Yard is now done. It took me a while to get everything kind of up to snuff. Ballast projects are never easy, especially when you're working in a yard. They can get very frustrating. I had a lot of ballast that had to get cleaned off of ties, had to clean out the turnouts a bunch. I had one op session after the project was complete, and everything went off pretty much without a hitch. We had one small issue with a turnout on the west end of the yard, and it turned out that the Caboose Industries throw was actually just not throwing far enough, so I had to pull it up and readjust it, and then it was fine. But as we pan to the left here, you'll also notice that another one of the projects that was completed is, well, not completed, but worked on, is the backdrops on the Canandaigua side of the layout. Back behind Pactive, we now have backdrop on this side of the post. We had it on the Geneva Industrial Complex side, but we now have it on this side. And then we've also got the divider all the way down into downtown Canandaigua itself as well. But stay tuned, guys. We're going to have the most fun stuff, other than doggos, in the latter half of the layout update. So make sure you stay around to the very end. So a lot of people might be wondering how it is that my layout runs, and I think my system is a little bit more unique than a lot of others might realize. I do run NCE. I actually just picked up this smart booster here, so I'm running on 5 amps now. Before that, I was actually running the entire layout off of a power cab, but we've now upgraded, and things have been going well. But I actually don't have any NCE throttles other than the power cab, and I have no ports throughout the layout. I don't run NCE's wireless system. I just run a Y-throttle server and smartphones, and so far everything seems to be working out. This dock here has all of the smartphones that I have for the layout. I have a couple of old smartphones, and then over the Christmas break, I actually went out and bought 3 just very cheap Samsung A03Ss, and they are $30 smartphones. They work well, though. They got used throughout the course of the last operating session, and everything went off without a hitch. So now I've been through 3 total operating sessions with this. I've had a couple of guys grumble about not having, the tactile, being able to, adjust your speed and feel the numbers. But you know what? At this point, a $30 smartphone is pretty darn cheap compared to the price of running an entire bus line throughout the layout, and having ports to plug multiple throttles into, adding multiple throttles to my collection, and even possibly getting a radio broadcaster or receiver, whatever you want to call it, in order to be able to run wireless throttles. The one thing that is nice, I've had a couple of guys come over now and run with the TCS throttles that run through the Wi-Fi or the Y-throttle server, and those seem to work well. If anybody ever wants to bring one of those to an operating session of mine, they can absolutely feel free, and we'll get them set up. But other than that, the smartphones seem to be working well. I love the Y-throttle interface. In my opinion, that's the easiest way out there to, run locomotives, honestly. I mean, there's so much that you can do with it. It's super easy to consist locomotives through that system. Overall, great experience. So while we're on the topic of operations, I thought it might be fun to show you guys how my train order sheets are set up for operators on the layout. This is something that's actually kind of been a work in progress. Every time I've held an op session, I've gotten some very useful feedback as far as how to have this set up, and I've taken that into account every time as well. So this is for Geneva yard job. This is like the most important yard job, or the most important job on the layout. GY1. So GY1, this is the basically debrief of what all you do during an op session. If you're running GY1, here is your power, and there's some important information about the functions that you're supposed to be using, and then it goes right into your switch lists. So this is for the first part of the job, which is actually, as of next operating session, going to be the last part of the job. Just going to flow better if I make that second. But suburban propane, which is right in Geneva, is the first thing. And then you pick your cars up in Geneva Yard. You take them over to suburban propane and pick up 2 cars there. And then after that, you assemble your train to go out to the Geneva Industrial Complex. Those are the cars for that. And then we also have the switch list separated by industry in Geneva, in the Geneva Industrial Complex as well, so you can see what you're dropping off and what you're picking up. The other fun thing too that I forgot to mention is GY1 is a job that runs out to the Geneva Industrial Complex one by one. So it's got one locomotive on the front end and one end on the tail end, which ends up being pretty fun for operators who are able to do that. All right, well, I hope you guys stuck around because we left the most fun stuff right for the very end. We've got a ton of scenery work completed here on the Penn Yan side and up into Gang Mills, but we'll go through it a little bit closer here, and I'll kind of show you what I've done. Over here in Penn Yan, in the industry section, I went ahead and redid a little bit of the grass work here along the driveway for Lakeview Organics. I was really not happy with how that looked, so I went in and I put down some brown grout as an initial substrate. You can see it peeking through here a little bit. So that's the first layer. Then it's ground foam, and then on top of it there's some 2mm static grass. And overall I'm really happy with how this turned out. I was a little disappointed when I took up my masking and realized that I wasn't quite tight up to the gravel with all the grass, but then I realized, you know what, this is an area that in theory would be trafficked by a lot of semis. There's a chance that a lot of it is going to be, rutted up and kind of a bit of a mess, just because trucks will be kind of getting off the gravel a little bit, perhaps. But as we move this way, you'll also notice that there's a lot of other scenery work done here. Over here we've got this, so in the real Penn Yan, this building here, it is very overgrown on the outside, but there's still a business inside of it. For right now, I don't have the time to scratch build any sort of buildings or anything like that, so we're going to use this this brick building that's kind of looking a little bit abandoned, and the overgrowth is accurate, just the building itself is in a little bit better shape in real life. But we've modeled a bunch of overgrowth around the outside of it, and then some underbrush in the woods there. And then behind it and up here by the houses, this is all now 2mm static grass as well. So, looks a little bit more manicured, like somebody, actually lives there, which is really nice. You'll also notice in the back here, the track has also been ballasted now. So that's all set. With that taken care of, we can really start to move deep into scenery, which is part of the reason this pink foam is back here as well. We're going to kind of try to create a little bit of elevation on the back side of the tracks as we blend into the backdrop, but there'll be more to come on that as we progress. As we pan this way, you'll see that there's actually this big open area right here, and I debated for quite a while as to what I wanted to do with this, and I finally decided the other day. And to be honest with you, I don't know why it took me this long to think about this particular option, because anybody that knows the Finger Lakes area knows that grapes and winemaking are a absolutely massive part of the Finger Lakes region. So we're going to put a vineyard in here. There is a stretch right in between Himrod and Penyan, so that it's prototypical for this area of the layout that's got a bunch of vineyards. There's actually a road called Vineyard Road that the tracks go right by, and I've shot trains there in the past. So I'm going to try to replicate that scene as best I can. I've already started that. You can see here we've put in a little bit of an access road, a dirt access road. This will be touched up a little bit. I went in and it's going to be hard to tell, but I actually compressed in the foam so that it was rutted down, which is pretty neat. And then we'll come back in with some ground foam along the center of the road and touch up the sides of it as well, just to make it look like it's a little bit more grown in than just, a muddy mess. But as we pan to the right here, you'll notice that the scenery we talked about on the last layout update here, transitioning between kind of the ground level Himrod Junction and the Corning Secondary, has been started as well. I went in and kind of smoothed out the slope of this hill a little bit, just to make it a little bit more realistic. And then we've got the grout, the brown grout, as the initial base layer, and then we've got ground foam down, and then we started putting in trees here as well. And boy, oh boy, am I going to need a lot of trees, because there's probably already maybe 20 in here. And I want to bring it out to just about right here, just about parallel with the switch. I don't want to go any further than the switch, because I don't want people knocking it down when they have to use the switch. Yeah, you can see we've got quite the forest going here. Once the trees are all in, I'm going to come in with a little bit more detail along the bottom here. And, obviously we'll have the vineyard down here, so we'll have to have some sort of transition between the two kind of scenes there as well. But one thing that's kind of cool, and I wanted to kind of show off, is that we've kind of tried to model fall in motion as best you can on a static display. We've got leaves falling down. There's a bunch of leaf litter along the tracks here. I really like the look of it. I might come in and take out a little bit more of the kind of the stronger colors and replace it with some more browns, just because I think it stands out a little bit too much. Yeah, underneath the trees, obviously you can see this is kind of what I'm shooting for as far as, under tree scenery, not foliage, but obviously there's life underneath the canopy of the trees as well, so I'm trying to replicate that as best I can. But yeah, I think that's about it for the layout update today, guys. Be on the lookout. I'm debating whether or not I'm actually going to do a dedicated video series building the vineyards. I thought it might be fun to kind of do that, but we'll kind of see how things work out. But yeah, if you made it to the end of the video, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Just make sure that you like and subscribe if you haven't already, because obviously, as you can see, we've got a lot of fun projects coming up here. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Take care, guys.